All right, that's enough of that there. But we'll get into the main segment, which is 28 days later versus 28 weeks later.
Yep.
This original versus sequel debate, classic CMM IP here that we're bringing back for the people. So if you're familiar with it, let's just hop right in. Let's get into the tale of the tape. 28 days later, first came out in 2002. The synopsis is 4 weeks or 28 days later, after a mysterious, incurable virus spreads throughout the UK, a handful of survivors try to find sanctuary. Pretty simple, pretty succinct. The cast and crew is directed by Danny Boyle. That's my English accent. Thank you very much. Written by Alex Garland, starring Cillian Murphy as Jim, Naomi Harris as Selena, Christopher Eccleston as Major Henry West, Brendan Gleeson as Frank, Megan Burns as Hannah. We have Alex Palmer as Activist 1, Bindu De Stopani as Activist 2, David Schneider as Scientist Man, and Toby Sedgwick as Infected Priest.
He was that high on the list. He was terrifying. Don't get me wrong. But
the priest?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's going to pop up a little bit later there. This movie hauled in a little more than 84.5 million worldwide, 45 million domestic on just a $10 million budget. It received a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb with an 87-85 split on Rotten Tomatoes and 4.2 out of 5 on Google reviews with 87% of Google users liking this movie, Nick.
Cillian Murphy, I love this guy. He's so, between this and then, I mean, Red Eye's not a movie that gets really brought up a lot when you talk about him, but I enjoyed that. That came out shortly around the Batman Begins, the Christopher Nolan era.
I think it was after. I think it was right after.
Yeah, and then he's obviously in it's obviously Scarecrow. Now he's in Peaky Blinders. I love that show. I've said it a million times over. That was my number one show.
Your number one show of all time. Yeah,
they didn't make the friggin' list. Ridiculous, but
that is kind of crazy. Actually,
absolutely love this guy. You know what? I get it. People don't watch it. It's in our group. So
and if you didn't love him, you get to see a whole lot more of him in 28 Days Later. If you know what I mean.
This is very true. And he is
from the jump.
He is the biggest name. Yes, he is the biggest name that you will see in that movie by far. But when you go over to 20,
Brendan Gleeson, that's a pretty big name. He's been in a lot of stuff there.
He has been, no question.
Oscar winner nominated. Wasn't he in the just kind of recently? The Banshees of Inisherin or something? The Banshees of Inisherin?
Maybe. I don't know. But I feel like has he ever been the leading man?
No. He's not necessarily a leading man per se, although he is a co-star with Colin Farrell there in that movie.
Okay. So no disrespect to Brendan Gleeson, but Cillian Murphy's still a bigger name. I feel like some people know Brendan Gleeson.
Right now, Brendan Gleeson at the time was a bigger actor than Cillian Murphy.
That actually is very fair. Either way, by comparison,
sorry, we're already debating here. I'm sorry.
No, but but when you look at my movie, the stars we have there, it's a little bit different. So I'm talking 28 weeks later, which came out 5 years later after the original movie in 2007. Synopsis: 6 months after the rage virus was inflicted on the population of Great Britain, the U.S. Army helped to secure a small area of London for the survivors to repopulate and start again. But not everything goes according to plan. Casting crew, this is directed by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, written by Rowan Joff and Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, starring Jeremy Renner as Doyle, Rose Byrne as Scarlet, Robert Carlyle as Dawn, Harold Perrineau as Flynn, Catherine McCormick as Alice, Idris Elba as Stone, Imogen Poots as Tammy, and then Macintosh Muggleton as Andy.
What are some great names to close right there?
Yeah.
Imogen Poots and Macintosh Muggleton.
Yeah.
It's something.
I'll tell you what. I don't think this is relevant for the debate at all. So Imogen Poots is 2 years older than I am. Yeah, 2 years older than I am. And I saw when I saw this movie, I think I was a freshman, so she would have been like junior high school age. So like again, 2 years older. I instantly had a crush on that girl. I was like, whoa.
Very cute.
Now let's see. Box office and critics reception hauled in 65 million worldwide, 28.6 million domestic on a $9.8 million budget. Received a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 72-76 split on Rotten Tomatoes. 3.4 out of 5 on Google reviews, with 72% of Google users liking this movie.
All right. So, as you're familiar with this, again, branded IP from the CMM podcast here, we start with an opening statement, roughly 45 seconds, and then we'll get into 6 debate questions where we'll each have 1 minute to present an argument. We'll also given the opportunity to respond in kind for 30 seconds if we'd like. But I don't think that'll be as necessary this time around.
I agree.
Then we close with 45 seconds of a closing argument, and then I always like to say this, but this isn't really true. We let you, the people, decide who won the debate here. But in reality, I'm going to forget to post the survey on Twitter at CMN_podcast. By the way, go check that out. Not to vote in the poll, but just to check out all the other stuff on there. And then we'll just get into the next episode where I forgot that I didn't post a poll.
100%.
Which is where we are right now.
Yeah, exactly. This is how it works on the show, honestly. And I also don't bail Wes out ever, so there's that as well.
Now that would ruin the bit, Nick.
This is true. Well, I'm just being honest. But as for the opening statements, Wesley, would you like to kick us off since I did it last on my birthday episode?
Yeah. Why don't you give me 45 seconds here on the clock?
Sounds like a plan. All right, get rolling in 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of the jury, I'd like to thank you for taking your time out today. Today, I'm going to tell you why 28 Days Later is a spookier movie, not only because it was genre defining, not only because it was the original, it had the advantage of being first, not only because it hangs dong, you get to see Cillian Murphy's wang in this, actually pretty early on. It's got a high kill count. And surprisingly, 239 per YouTuber Green, actually. 239 kills. They're pretty interesting. But I'm going to get into all that a little bit later on and actually find out that there's some good stories, some good heart in this. That's some simple, effective storytelling, aside from just the crazy fast zombies.
3, 2.
I rest.
Nice. Okay. I gotta make sure I get some sounders pulled up. I forgot about that. All right, but I am ready to go regardless.
All right, let me get my clock ready here. Nope, that's my calculator.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well,
there's my clock. There we go. Okay, 45 seconds starts in 3, 2, 1.
Oddly enough, I saw 28 weeks later, before 28 days later. As I mentioned, I saw it when it came out when I was a freshman in high school. Yet, I never felt lost while watching the sequel to the original impressive zombie movie. It says a lot about 28 weeks later. The zombie in these movies are terrifying. We come across some characters who are maddening, yet very, very real. And I'm talking specifically about 28 weeks later when I say that. I will discuss them more throughout this debate, during which I'll illustrate how 28 weeks later was able to carry on the vibe that 28 days later established and built on it with a acting story.
All right, now let's go get him.
Barely got that out. Jeez. I thought that I was going to stretch it. Fuck. All right. All right. I'm good.
Okay. So we get the first question here. Which movie is spookier overall? I'll be happy to go first on this one.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So you have a minute on the clock, sir.
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
Well, it's obvious 28 Days Later is a spookier movie. It has the advantage of being first, and audiences do not know what's coming. That is what we call a little bit of an advantage, as I already pointed out. It's a pretty simple storyline following a main character and a side character, and where the side characters all kind of aid him on his journey. Very simple to understand, very small, close circuit. There's not all these like branch kind of storylines. Will they or won't they is kind of going on. Not to mention it's genre defining. It's got fast zombies, which is the scary part. But the real scary part is humanity. And you see how people react when the world kind of breaks down and when order is broken and we have chaos going on, the type of things that the humans will do. In fact, the humans were the whole reason why this whole thing started. So that's pretty spooky in and of itself. And you get military people who just want sex slaves, you know, like all this stuff. It's very, very spooky. We kind of lived this out not that long ago.
So you obviously have to leave a few of those in here now.
Yeah, what I should have done is gotten different zombie yells.
You could have, but this is better because now we're going to use them forever.
Would you like 30 seconds to retort, or would you like your full minute served up on a platter?
I think a full minute will suffice on my end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Full minute. Why 28 weeks later is spookier starts right now.
So I'd like to note that IMDb cites that 28 weeks later, my movie has almost double the amount of kills that 28 days later has. 182 for Wes's movie, 307 for mine. And Wes hinted on a point about, or illustrated a point about the mistakes that happen, the cause of humanity. And that's what's so important in both 28 days later and 28 weeks later. And where 28 days later is the start of it all and how things begin, and then how people respond to it in the short term. And again, in a month span, pretty much 28 weeks later is about how everything gets fixed. Everything gets better. And then things go to shit just like that very quickly. And it's
15.
Arguably more terrifying. And a lot of it is all hinged around one person being a little bit too selfish and screwing people over that are close to him, and then everybody else. And also, the zombies, way more violent than
1. All right.
Okay, I think I had a sounder there.
Your IMDb. I'm not sure if that's a trusted source here. I like to refer to my YouTuber Green, who says that 28 days later had a kill count of 239.
Okay. Well, fine. 239, still 307. I'm sorry. IMDb versus a random YouTuber. My mistake.
But now I can't believe IMDb because they were so far off on the 28 days later kill count that how can I trust what they were?
How do you know that yours was correct? Why is your guy right?
Because the YouTuber counted them off.
Okay. Got it.
I saw them all with my own eyes.
You saw them all with your own eyes. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
yeah, he went through them all. I watched it.
Maybe you shouldn't trust your eyes.
Well,
that's all I got. That's
my just nonsense here.
The defense rests.
All right. Let's go on to the next question here.
Yeah.
Which movie features the best zombie death?
Oh, okay. There we go. All right, I'll kick us off on this.
Death from a zombie.
I thought this was death. I thought the next question was death from a zombie. This is a death to a zombie.
Killing a zombie.
Yes. Which movie features a better zombie death?
I think I wrote these questions and I screwed up both of them, but we'll go with it either way.
Do you have an answer for both of them?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay.
But you're going first here. Which movie features the best zombie death?
Yeah.
28 weeks later starts right now.
Yeah, so for me, the no-brainer question here, no-brainer answer here is Flynn, who's the actor's name I butchered earlier, but he's someone that you've seen in other movies. He's featured in The Matrix in like the two of the 4 movies. But anyways, his character is a helicopter pilot. He is going to try and save Jeremy Renner, Rose Byrne, and then a few other characters who Jeremy Renner has helped save and lead out of the city after the reinfestation of the disease. In the moment the zombies start coming on them and they're trying to figure a way to get out, they were supposed to get on the helicopter. They can't. So what does Flynn do to try and help them out? Instead of airing them out because he can't load them all at that time, he goes and chops up all the zombies with his helicopter. And it looked like it had to be at least 24 zombies that he chopped up. He did miss a few, but he got a ton in the mix and then helped Jerry Renner out a ton.
2,
Done.
1.
Oh,
right.
Wow. Classic.
No, I think I got this right here. I was just misreading my notes. I think I'm correct here. I think I'm ready.
I was worried for you.
Yeah, it's been
Don't want you to get disbarred or anything, but
It could. This was this could be pretty damning here.
yeah. All right. So do you want 30 seconds to retort, or do you want the full bit?
No.
Okay.
Less time the better.
Okay. When you're ready, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I think easily the most lovable character and the character that we get most attached to, or at least I did, and 28 Days Later was Frank, the father. He was very lovable. He welcomes in Selena and Jim with open arms. He's got the daughter that he protects. He offers him the weird green wine or alcohol, whatever it is. He's got a really sick riot suit and like good deal going on in that skyrise apartment of his. But when they leave and they go to Manchester and the place is screwed up, he gets infected by the crow that is eating the zombie. And the blood, this is just a crazy way, because most often you see these zombie deaths as like munching and going crazy and just like raging out. A drop of blood in Frank's eye, which is crazy in and of itself. And then he ends up getting shot in front of his daughter as he's slowly turning into the zombie. That was the most gut-wrenching one. That's the one you feel the most.
5.
I'm not sure if it's the best one, but it's
3,
the one that stands out
2.
the most.
That was a tough one. It really was. It's the one that's definitely the one that sticks with you most from that movie.
It's creative. You definitely don't see it, much as a creative way for it to, but very far-fetched.
Yeah. Every time
I'm like, all right, what's going on? Like one blink, then you're fine.
Yep.
But he's just watching it just fall like wide-eyed, like a deer in headlights.
Every time it happens, it gets me because he is such an awesome character, such a good dude. Yeah, he's definitely the best one of the bunch by far.
He's the only one that brings, like, even the daughter is like kind of a curmudgeon. She's like kind of like a shut-in. Like, he's the only one that still has any sense of life in him.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
But nevertheless, here. All right, so you just went. So okay, so now the next question, unless you want 30 seconds to reply.
Nope. Thank you very much.
I'm getting lost in the snake here. Which movie features the best death at the hands of a zombie?
Yes, so the zombie on human death in this is what we're talking about. Yes.
And I'll go first here. This again, I'll preface this as a little bit of a cheat, but start me up.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
All right, because there's not a lot that really jumps out in my mind after watching this movie. That again, a zombie death was like, all right, this is really memorable. But again, kind of a cheat. Jim goes full range zombie mode at the very end to save Selena from getting taken advantage of sexually by this military guy who just wants the sex slaves. Pretty scary stuff, but he kind of unleashes on himself and kind of eye gouges him to death. So much so that Selena is like ready to kill him. Like, oh, you got to be infected because you just went off and he's been so timid this whole time. Kind of telling a greater story about the beast, the rage that lies within of man, that you kind of tap into there. So I think that's tells it's got a couple layers to it. It's got a little bit of a deeper meaning, but it's still pretty gruesome. You get to see some eye gouging there. So give me that one. A little bit of a cheat.
A little bit of a cheat. Yeah, definitely. I don't need my the 30 seconds to retort, but yeah, you go ahead and start it.
Right. 1 minute starts right now.
I just want to make it clear to everybody. I don't need the 30 seconds, but I want to point out Wes did not answer the question correctly. I just want that to go on record. But you bring up the eye gouging, and that leads me to Dom, the father, killing Alice, which is his wife, who came back after everybody thought she had died because because Dom abandoned her previously. And what does this guy do? He instantly, I don't want to get into it because there's other stuff that I have to talk about around that, but he contracts the virus from kissing her and then starts losing his shit because he's full of rage and everything like that. And then he starts punching her in the face. And then he bites her at some point and gouges her eyes out too. And it is like that. It took me a long time to actually be able to watch that scene because of how vicious they made that. So yeah, Dom killing Alice is
5,
total in 28 weeks
4,
later. Time.
3, 2, 1. All All right.
Before we
So
go
they
into
did
the next,
that. They did that twice. Full, full disclosure. Did not watch 28 weeks later. So they did the eye gouge death
yeah,
twice, huh?
it was it's a nice little little nod to it. And one other thing I wanted to note too, because this one didn't really fall into either category, but in 28 days later, I forget the guy's name that was running with Celine at first.
Mark.
Mark. But when he gets bitten and then Celine hacks him up,
Oh my god! I was thinking about that too, but that didn't really qualify. Again,
Yeah.
it was like in 28 days later, it was more of the human on human violence that was the most brutal part. Or again, like the moments as they're becoming infected. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a tough question.
That
But,
is
yeah.
that is a moment in like zombies, like when I think about like Walking Dead, like that kind of thing could happen. Like obviously, like with Herschel, at one point he gets bitten on his leg, and then they chop it off, and it ends up saving his life. In this instance, this virus moves so quickly, but that's one of those moments, like I think that can fly under the radar when you talk about a zombie type movie, but it really is like one of the more fucked up things that can happen in these situations.
Oh yeah, I mean that was with the father son episode of The Last of Us, right? And that was like one of the hardest ones there.
Yeah.
So when the
Yeah.
sun finally turns,
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Yep. That's right. Wasn't it, were they brothers actually?
oh, that's right. No, you're right. Yeah, they're brothers. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they're brothers.
the age difference was so large.
It felt like
Even
father brother for the
yeah,
longest time. Yeah, absolutely.
uh,
But yeah,
yeah. I agree. That again, the human aspect of it, I think is what kind of is the more interesting, I don't know, element of the zombie apocalypse thing. But
mhm.
all right. So yeah, this brings us to our next question here, which has the more maddening human case or
Case of
human
human
case
error.
of yeah. I'm like
Sorry, Ron Burgundy. My bad.
we are just horrible copy editors right now here. We're just tripping over everything, right? Writing
Who didn't check
questions
the
wrong.
prompter? You guys know that Wes can only read what's right in front of him. God,
Seriously.
same.
Which movie has the more maddening case of human error? There we go. Nailed it.
I'll take this one first then.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are ready to go right now.
So Don is the dad who I've talked about a couple times already, or Dom, and he is one of the. I wanted to say he's one of the biggest a-holes in like the history of like film. Lauren kind of checked me on that one, so I'm gonna instead say that Don is one of the biggest jackasses in the history of story, because this guy has an instance where his wife is about to get she's about to get massacred, and he can maybe save her. Obviously, he is going to die if that happens, but he just lets her go.
30
Now,
seconds.
she may have made a bad decision that put herself in that spot, but still, he could have saved her. Then later, we find again she survived it. She's basically got the cure. She's immune to the rage virus. He, as soon as he sees her, asks for her forgiveness. The second he sees her, then it wasn't like he found her. She was like strapped down to a chair, and then he goes and she forgives him.
10 seconds.
They make out. He gets the virus, and then and again, I could get it if like he had just saw her spur of the moment, but no, it's like she's strapped down, and then that goes and reinfects everybody because of it.
All
God,
right.
I needed that. That's like honestly what 2007 was when this came out. That is like what 16 years of venting I needed to get out in a minute.
So I'm interested. Why did Lauren check you on that? Did she bring up someone else from the movie or someone else in the cinema world that usurped him, or did she bring some life into him?
She just said that there's, like I said, I think I said one of the biggest a-holes or one of the shittiest people in
Because that's a pretty shitty thing to do.
It is, but she said that people have done some pretty shitty stuff in in film, like in stories and everything like that. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking like,
but it's one thing to do to inflict harm on people that you don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
When there's that betrayal, that's a knife that cuts a little bit deeper.
I mean, I said to her, so when she pushed back, I was like, listen, like if roles were reversed and like you were the person if you were in Dom's spot, I'd want you to leave. But if I'm in Dom's spot, like there's no question what's happening. So I don't like I have
the cross we bear as men.
Exactly. And then on top of Wes, so again, like I'm not trying to I made this point already. I just want you to fully hear what I'm saying. She's alive. She gets taken in. They're trying to treating her kind of like a lab rat a little bit. Doesn't last long, but he finds out she's strapped down. Clearly, just I wouldn't touch her in this moment. I know she's your wife and you miss her and blah blah blah, but just you can talk to her. But say
he's overcome with guilt.
And he just the first thing he does, he needs to be forgiven, and then he goes and does that. It's like, how dumb could you possibly be? He is the biggest jerk. Like,
listeners, right now, I hope you're fast forwarding through this because this is going way over time here. But I agree. I agree with what you're saying there. I mean, it's a big asshole move. Probably one of the. I'm with you. This has to be one of the bigger asshole moments in movie history.
I would put him in top 100 for like biggest jackasses, biggest a-hole, whatever you want to put it. I think I'd make a case for him to be in the top 100. Like I would be willing to die on that hill.
So
All
would
right,
Sack from Wedding Crashers. He's a pretty big asshole there.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Wasn't ready for that.
That's what I think of when I think of an asshole. He's like the classic asshole there. Bradley Cooper.
Maybe we need to, maybe we need to figure out a different way. Maybe jackasses is the best way to put it, but like we figure out a way,
right? So we don't get demonetized on YouTube, right?
Yeah, there you go. But figure out a way to like the biggest jerks in like movie history.
There we go. I like that.
Yeah, we can make that a long one too.
We can make that a DSG group. Have everyone vote on it.
We could. Let's.
No, that's too big of an undertaking. I don't want to invite that sort of madness.
You'd have to do that math. Yeah.
No, I would not be. You would be doing the math.
Yeah.
You have a younger, cleaner, fresher, sharper mind.
I don't have a kid. Is what it comes down to. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But look, if it comes down to me doing the math, then I might be open to it. But that's a conversation for another day. We definitely do something on our own at minimum.
Somehow, Peaky Blinders just ends up number 1. It's like, whoa. How did this happen?
Revenge. All right, sir, it is your turn to, unless you need 30 seconds.
No. I'm good.
All right, so you have a minute to talk about which movie has the more maddening case of human error.
Yes.
All right. Sorry, I'm just realizing I typed. I still.
Yeah, you got to time me there. Yep, there we go.
God. All right, 3, 2, 1.
First, I'm interested to see what you had wrote down when you posed this question for me. So what you thought the selection would be. I know you wrote it in there and I erased it. But either way, my choice is like the scientists in the beginning. Why are they injecting primates with a rage virus and then subjecting them to watching the worst of humanity on a loop? That's my biggest question. Why are they doing? What are they trying to? What are they trying to gain from this? What are they trying to learn from this? How are they going to use it on Americans, or in this case, Europeans and Britons, the Britons, on the general public? So that's what I'm most interested in. We're going to see that come back a little bit later, I think. But
15.
Who's overseeing this? What's going on here? That's I don't need any more time. This is stupid.
Okay. Yeah, I did. This was not the one that I had, but honestly, after so the one I jotted down was
it starts everything,
100%. The military having basically a pet zombie chained up.
Yeah.
They're former guys, and I get the logic behind it where they want to be able to study him, but like you figure out pretty quickly. Like the Sergeant General, whatever it was, he said it. Why do you need to keep this guy around then? Like, you're just asking for trouble with this.
Yeah, I hear you. But I think if, they don't really show it in this way, but these are trained soldiers, even though they shoot themselves at a certain point. But, they know, I would think you would feel comfortable in that situation. I don't hate that move as much. I think that kind of makes sense because even the answer that they have is just waiting until they starve off to death. That there has to be something greater, maybe that you could learn from that.
And I do think too, though, I had jotted that down, and that's what I was thinking of for your movie specifically. But after I thought about it more later, I was like, you know what, though? Like, the way this whole thing starts is like a massive human error. Like, you have the animal rights activists who, I get what they're doing, but at the same time,
they're dumb. Have you seen some of these climate change activists who cement their hands and then they can't get the cement off, or they super glue their hands to something and then it's like they can't get it off? Yeah.
Really?
Some people would get you would hear these crazy stories. Or again, the people who block traffic by sitting in the middle of the highway. Like you have the minimalist amount of my attention, zero attention when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, the
In fact, I
traffic
might like actively start throwing trash out of my car at that point if that happened to me.
I'm not a big fan of the people who are in like the middle of like traffic.
Or people who like throw paint or like blood on people who wear like fur coats and stuff like that, like all the PETA crazies. PETA, is really PETA's really to blame here.
Yeah,
they're the real villains.
There you go. But yes, to what you were saying though, the scientists are definitely like the greatest case of human error in this one. There's no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who start this whole thing. It's so bizarre. And like that, the lab too was so nasty. They did such a good job with that, like making it just feel so dingy and disgusting. And the lighting was so much good about these two movies. But yeah, anyways. Also, actually, real quick too, on your movie, from a zombie death standpoint too, I meant to mention this earlier, but this reminded me. We talk about the my instance of the maddening case of human error in your movie. The way that the general at the end of it gets yanked out of the car by his dudes.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool too.
That was one of the few like times in that like a horror movie where it's like, oh, okay, glad someone died.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one there. Which movie has the spookiest jump scare, Nick?
This one's gonna go to you first. Now, actually, start the clock in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, there's a couple different options I could have went here, but I think it's the first time Jim sees a zombie in the church. And when he goes to the church and he sees that mass burial ground there inside of everything, and then he just sees one guy just kind of sit up. He's ready to feast already. He's got like a bib on, it looks like. So he's like ready to go to eat. And then, of course, you get the zombie priest who's just roaming around there, which is a very clever, scary, flipping what is something that's supposed to be sacred and warmed and full of life and flipping it on its head into something that's scary and dead-like, right? I think that moment is great because it really, again, it kind of sets the tone for where the movie is going. To that point, you don't really know what's going on. He's just kind of like a last man standing sort of thing. So from there, it kind of, puts the pedal to the metal a little bit, and then it kind of sets you on pace for what the movie's going to be the rest of the way.
Okay,
that's it.
That is a great call, and I mean, very much like scared the like ever living piss out of me when like Jim walks into that church and like everybody's dead, and then he wakes them up and you just hear a slight movement, but you see like these faces just staring like mouth agape, and it's like, oh fuck, man, it's nasty.
And anytime you get that like Undertaker sit up. When he's like back from the dead and just like half his body just comes up again, like that's freaky in its own right.
Yeah. And the priest is the priest is terrifying.
Yeah. Don't like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you got 1 minute here. Let me get open. Okay. 1 minute on what movie has the spookiest jump scare starting now.
So mine actually comes at the tail end of 28 weeks later. So we have, by the end of the movie, the only humans still alive are Flynn, the guy who's manning the helicopter. Then we have Imogen Pooch's character. We have Andy, who's the young boy. And then we have Rose Byrne's character, Scarlett. Unfortunately, this is where Scarlett meets her demise. They are trying to get into Wembley Stadium to meet Flynn at the center of the field so he can fly them out. And she's left with Jeremy Renner's gun after he has just sacrificed himself. And she's like turns on night vision because it's very dark in the stadium. She walks down. The kids end up falling down an escalator. They're fine, but she's trying to find them. She finds Imogen Pooch, and it's like, okay,
10 seconds left.
Then she needs to find Andy. When she does that, she turns and then boom, it's Don. He's there and he grabs the gun and starts beating her to death with it. But she's right into that night vision. Oof.
I saw some clips of that scene. That looked very freaky there. It kind of gave me like Resident Evil vibes.
Yeah.
Maybe like Halo the Flood type vibes.
Oh, yeah. Halo the Flood's the worst, man. The absolute freaking worst.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that is a freaky part there. Doesn't Jeremy Renner like push a car and then gets set on fire as he sacrifices himself?
Yes, that is. Yeah. So they're like gassing like parts of London because like the zombies have like leaked out
Sure.
and everything, and then they're in a car, but it can't start, so he needs to push it. Otherwise, they're gonna get the car's gonna get torched by flamethrowers. Because there are people walking with us. So
Gotcha.
he
Gotcha.
gets out.
So he gets torched instead. Good for him.
Unfortunately. Yes. Yep. Goes down.
Which is actually a precursor to him getting exploded by bombs in the Hurt Locker.
I actually never seen the Hurt Locker.
This
Is it
comes
worth
out
it?
right after. I mean, he was Oscar nominated for. I think that won the Oscar for Best Picture.
I knew what that was. I didn't know he
I
was.
haven't
That's
seen it
awesome.
though. I can't.
Okay. Oh, so there you go. Okay. But yeah, that brings us to our last one, which is a really interesting question that or topic that you brought up. Pitch a third
It's
installment.
lighthearted, you know. We got all this death and violence going on.
Pitch in a third installment of this series, which is relevant because we've been hearing about this for a little while now that there may be a third 28 days later universe story, whatever. So would you like to lead us off on this?
Yeah, I would. I'm ready to go. I'm excited about this one.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
So I told you I'd bring this up when we were talking about our human error question here. So my movie is a prequel where it's a working title. It's either 28 days prior or 28 minutes prior. And here's why I like 28 minutes prior. You look at the scientist group conducting the research and following the activist groups as they're thwarting the plan that leads right into 28 days later. So you go back 28 minutes to the raid itself of the activists, and all of that whole scene in the science lab is kind of like your main vehicle for the story, but everything flashes back like, oh, this is what happened then. So you get all these main flashbacks, but it's happening in this 28-minute span of this activist raid that goes right into the science group, which then gets bitten by the primates, which then starts 28 days later, almost immediately. So I think that would be kind of interesting. Or if you want to do something crazy, just show the first 28 days.
Oh.
27.
As you were going through it, I was kind of thinking like, oh, you could show the first 28 days, or you could do 28 hours later as like kind of a prequel to 28 days later.
Yeah. Okay, see that I think I like that. The idea of a prequel actually sounds more interesting to me than trying to do like the same thing but in a different part of the country.
I think that is a really, really good idea. I'm very impressed. I did not think of that because I put myself in the box that we find ourselves in, or not the box that seems like this the franchise is going forward with. So why don't you just start the clock and I'll
well, what I will say is what I liked, even though I didn't watch 28 weeks later, the idea of them following a completely different group.
Yeah.
I think agree. That would be kind of interesting too. So it's not like you have to have Cillian Murphy come back or Idris Elba or whatever. You don't have to, continue their story arcs. You just jump right in. That gives the writers, the directors, all the creatives a little bit more creative freedom to go where they want, but while 100%. Still kind of like operating in that world.
Yeah, we're completely in agreement on that. You can't go and try and rehash these characters.
All right. I love it then. Okay. So you got 60 seconds on the clock for your movie pitch starting right now.
All right, so right now it seems like we may get a third movie, and it looks like it's going to be 28 years later, skipping the what I would think 28 months later. So that would thus be set in 20, 30, 28 years after the original outbreak, the original movie. Mine would be set in Sicily. However, it could be set in any type of European island that's not, I would take out the Azores because they're so far removed. And it couldn't be Ireland or Britain. Europe is finally ready. Wait a minute. What is it? Oh yeah. Okay. No, I'm okay. After being shut off completely from the rest of the world, other nations look to rebuild Europe, the once great continent. But when a group of survivors is discovered, Europe's supposed allies will learn the rage virus has something else in store for them. That's my pitch. Now I know it. Yeah.
So what else? You got me hooked.
Okay.
What else is in store of them?
By the way, so why I got confused in my first readings because I had two ideas and I thought I was reading the first one originally. So I apologize. Gotcha. So Europe is finally ready, and what that means? So it's the rage virus is believed to have died off and everything, but in reality, it hasn't. There are survivors there, but there are also some people who have contracted the rage virus, but
But it lies dormant.
it's evolved.
Mm.
So it's now changed where you have these people who are still filled with this extreme amount of rage, but they're not these mindless creatures like these other ones are. They're still fearless and aren't worried
Oh.
about harm, but they're not as like these zombies are kind of smart 28 days later, but they're not like as smart as humans necessarily, I would say. So they're just that step. They're like that perfect crossbreed, which is going to be problematic.
Interesting. And then this isn't really a horror movie so much as like a funny comedy of zombies filled with rage trying to readapt to a workplace. And it's like, oh, I got to go to HR again. Ah,
You know what? That wouldn't actually
my
be
wife makes me fold my underwear. Ah, and
That
just,
would-
losing it.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. Wasn't what I was going for, but that wouldn't be. You could probably do something with that too.
Sitting in like anger management courses, like that would be funny.
Because we have what is it? The What We Do in the Shadows. There's that show.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I kind of think you could do it with zombies and maybe other things too.
I would like that, kind of like an Office style where they have a confessional and it's like a mockumentary. Yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah, I'd watch it for sure.
But all right, that's not too bad. I like that. You definitely got me on the pitch.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. I think it's look at that. Look at the two of us come up with some good ideas. Okay.
All right, so now we got 45 seconds to make a closing argument to an audience which is not going to vote on the winner. No, I shouldn't say that.
Do you want to close it out first, or would you like to close it out? Okay.
No, you close it out. Okay. 45 seconds on the clock starts now.
So many times we see origin stories of characters, of larger plots, and then how things kind of evolve down the line. But it's not often that we see situations, catastrophic apocalypse type occurrences happen, and then we see see everybody come back from that, see that comeback story, only to see it crumble again. It's always redemption, and then they ride off into the sunset and things are fine. 28 weeks later takes us in a different direction while still incorporating a lot of the human error that Wes also sees in 28 days later, but it's all focused on this one guy, Don, who is honestly, for all the shit that we've said about him, he seems like a very, very real character. Not something you always see with anyone.
That's interesting. It's interesting. You're rooting for the guy who wants to leave his wife for zombies. That's cool.
That is the weirdest spin zone I've ever heard.
That's what I heard.
All right. 45 seconds on the clock for your final to put a pin in this entire debate, Wes. Go ahead and take us home in 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of the jury, I'd like to thank you for sitting through this argument here, this discussion, this debate. But I think I've presented forth the stronger argument, which is 28 Days Later is the spookier movie. It's the original, again, has the advantage of being first, which is very important when you're doing a jump scare. It's genre defining, has fast zombies. It has a lot of death and a lot of gruesome, but it's also kind of a psychological thriller there too, with some good storylines, simple storytelling, but effective. The story around civilization crumbling around the zombie apocalypse is what I find most interesting. They did a great job of it. It was shot really cool, really interesting way as well, which I think adds to that kind of spookiness to it, with that found footage and these kind of rough jump cuts that they have. I found it to be really effective. Good on you, Danny Boyle. Good on you.
5, 4.
I rest my case.
All right. Look at that. Look at that.
There we go. All right, so that puts an end to it. And, I may or may not put out a poll to see who won this, but I think it's safe to say that I won it because in the Peepers Court, I make the decisions here. Kind of like Cillian Murphy in The Dark Knight Rises.
Look, the Peepers Court? Really? That's
the Peepers. Is that what I said?
That's what you said.
People's Court.
Sorry, I couldn't help it that time.
No, I'm glad you did it. I wouldn't miss that chance if I got it.